Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call?
Supervisor Fisher?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Lockren?
Here.
Trustee Aliaga?
Here.
Trustee Brown?
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu?
Here.
And Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Subject to any suggested modifications, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Board and public announcements. Any announcements by the board?
I do.
Carrie?
The Knights of Columbus has applied and received a certificate of registration for their annual Tootsie Roll fundraising drive. That's going to take place on Friday, April 8th and Saturday, April 9th. They'll be at the intersections of Mabee and Sashabaw Roads, and also White Lake and Andersonville. And that's all I have.
Okay, anybody else? Rachel?
I also have an announcement. Dog licenses are required by state law for any dog that is older than 4 months of age. To receive a dog license, you must have a valid rabies vaccination for your pet. You can buy these licenses here at the township at the Treasury counter. We will be selling them up until June 1st. On June 2nd, the Oakland County Animal Control Census Team will be out in neighborhoods and dog parks making sure that pets are licensed. If you do not have a license because you do not have a rabies vaccination for your dog, you can now get a free rabies shot from Oakland County Pet Adoption Center on Tuesdays. No appointment necessary. You can give them a call if you'd like. If you need more information, you can call them at 248-858-1070 or look it up on their webpage, Oakland County or oakgov.com/pet adoption.
Thank you. Awesome. Valuable information. Anybody else on the board? I have one fast announcement. The township has 4 pre-qualified engineering firms, and it's Hubble, Roth and Clark, Nowak and Fraus, DLZ, Johnson and Anderson, and OHM. The contract for HRC renews each year, and the others have 3-year contracts, or a 3-year contract that will expire in July. And by the terms of the 3 contracts that NOAC, DLZ, and OHM, there is an opportunity to extend for one additional 3-year term. So that would be in July. And so the intent is to begin negotiations with those firms with a view of, if the negotiations are successful, bringing them back to the board before the expiration in July. Okay, anybody in the?
I have one quick
Oh,
one.
sorry.
I almost forgot. Just for the public, anyone thinking of running for offices, school board, library boards, things like that, your applications are due to the county by April 19th.
Okay, more valuable information. Joe? Sure, yes. So the microphone can pick you up. I know you project your voice well, but
Joe Sucher, 5071 Hilltop Estates. Just on top of that Oakland thing, take your vaccination records. I was down there today and they wouldn't take me because I didn't have the vaccination records for the 2 dogs. So, and
But they
apparently,
didn't tell you? Okay.
no, it doesn't say anything in the announcement about taking your records down there. I
Yes,
mean, I
you
should
do have
done
to have a
that.
copy of your current
Yeah, I should have
rabies
done
vaccination.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and
that's a good
and one
point.
for your dog,
And I
too.
said, yeah, and I said, yeah.
Oh, boy.
I said I should be registered, with, my records should be on the system because I got my licenses actually here.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. And they said, well, sometimes the townships don't update the county's records. So,
Well, we specifically use the county system, so we
Yes.
do update the county's
Yeah, and
records.
that's what
If you want to give me a call tomorrow, I'll pull up your record and see what's in there.
okay, awesome. Okay. Madison. She gave me the dog.
Aw. then I can tell you it was done correctly.
There you go. All right, public comment. Anybody can be recognized for 5 minutes. Anybody online? No? All right, we will move to the consent agenda. And we have 4 items on the consent agenda this evening. We've got a request to approve the regular meeting minutes from March 15. Request to approve the March 29 check run, $1,169,625. Ratify the March 18 payroll, $295,746. And April 1 payroll, $270,547. Item number 3 is a request to approve the memorandum of agreement with the Clarkston Area Chamber of Commerce for 2022 Taste of Clarkston event. And number 4, request to amend motion number 2022-03-044, a road chloride account number. And that was just an incorrect number that got into the motion the last time. So unless anybody desires to pull something off, is there a motion to approve items 1 through 4 of the consent agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving right along. Regular business. We've got 4 items of regular business on here. First item, request to accept the 2022-2023 magazine printing bid. Derek?
Yeah, the Parks and Recreation Department produces a magazine that goes out 3 times a year. It is a joint magazine with our community education department through the schools. The public library also inserts some information. But every 2 years, we put this print job back out to bid. Of course, this is just like everything else that's being bid right now. Everything's coming a little bit more expensive than usual. But this is for 6 copies of the magazine, and in case you're wondering, we set the limit at the 52-page rate, but sometimes in the summertime, when we get an influx of programs from both of the other entities and ourselves, that could fluctuate up to 60 pages, which of course affects the price. But out of the bid package, we had 3 organizations or 3 companies bid for this print job, and we would like to go with our local company, or not a local company, but EP Graphics, who we have been with for many years. We have a great relationship with them. We seem to work on very good timelines with them. They're very flexible with us. They also will deliver directly to the post office for us with our postage stamp already on the print job, so they go directly to people's mailboxes, and we don't have to deal with having boxes of the magazine stored around town hall. So we are recommending that we go with EP Graphics for a 6 magazine cycle that will cover 2022 through the winter of 2024. So.
Okay. Any questions by the board? Any questions by anybody in the audience on this? Anybody online? Okay, then is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to accept the bid received from EP Graphics for costs associated with the publication of the 2022 summer, 2022 fall, 2023 winter, spring, 2023 summer, 2023 fall, and the 2024 winter, spring magazines at the anticipated amount of $92,526, which comes out to $46,263 annually, and associated distribution costs based on the actual costs and quantities, and authorize the township supervisor to sign the acceptance of the bid as the authorized representative of the township.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Derek, you're going to stay there for a second, please.
Yes.
Derek's up against a hard deadline for bidding out the play structure at Bay Court. And the significant situation is that, and something that needs some attention here, is that there is a desire to use a unique form of bidding, performance bidding, rather than the normal bidding for seeking the low bid. And obviously, it's potential for something subjective, but Derek, I think, has a strong argument.
Yeah, I mean, typically, we don't have to come to this project's already been approved, and typically, we don't have to come to the board to go out to bid, so we didn't make it an agenda item. And pursuant of our procurement policy with the written statement from the township supervisor and clerk, we can use other bidding methods, and although our clerk and supervisor are behind this, we thought it was only appropriate that we kind of give an explanation to the board to make sure everybody was comfortable with the process. So I'll try to give a brief explanation of why we're doing it the way we're doing it and a brief description of the process. And then if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. In a traditional bidding process for a brick and mortar construction job, typically we'll have a Spicer Group or a Nowak and Frous write a bid package for us that very specifically states the materials that we want to use and I'll use a building construction. They'll list out very specifically the sinks, the faucets, what toilets we want in our bathrooms, electrical, what type of brick we want to use, those sorts of things, cement jobs, and so forth. And those specs can be placed in that bid. Well, we kind of wanted to use a performance-based bid package for our playground, and what that entails is playground companies are different than normal construction companies. They don't all produce the same sinks. They don't all produce the same faucets, or they don't work in the similar brick patterns. Each construction company creates or manufactures their own equipment. So in that regard, we are not comparing an apples to apples basis for the bid process. Typically, we would go out to bid, say this is our concept area and the design of that area that we would like as far as a resting zone and pathways, parking, ADA compliancy features. However, when it comes to the equipment itself, we can't say we want a 4-seat swing set because every company produces a different swing set with different pricing and so forth. So we wanted to get into this performance-based bid where we'll still have a sealed bid. They have to turn in their pre-bidded price, and they have to turn in their bid bond so we know that they're serious about the project. Where this is reversed is that we state to them the price that we can afford to do the project. So for instance, we raised $607,000. We know between a $50,000 contingency and our engineering work that there's $100,000 gone right off the top. So after we do all of the ADA compliancy with the parking, the sidewalks, and our memorial area entrance, what we have left is about $316,000 to purchase actual playground equipment. So we've identified a conceptual area of where we would like the pathways to lead, the entrance, our memorial area where we've spent a year bridging the past to the future. We know this is a very sensitive playground, so our committee has gone through great lengths to make sure that we continue to bridge that spirit of the past into this new playground. But once you get down to that $316,000 that they can spend on equipment, we're flattening the curve by saying we have this dollar amount to spend. Show us what you can do within that parameter of $316,000. And what I think, and from what I understand of communities that have done this in the past, is you'll get some companies that will come in and they won't be able to give you much for $316,000. They'll give you Boblo Island. Some companies are going to be able to come in and give you Disneyland. So by flattening that curve and expressing that we have this dollar amount, it becomes a performance-based bid because now we're judging these playground companies on their equipment and their performance and not just on their bid price alone. So it's kind of a unique process. It's something that we haven't done before. I can't imagine ever wanting to use this process for any other sort of construction project, because typically in the specs, we are very specific about each item that we want included within this construction project. However, for playground equipment, no two companies sell the same features. No two companies sell the same, ADA compliant features. So we're putting the onus on the company to come in, and we're gonna have our sealed bids for those pre-proposals and for their bid bonds, so we know they're serious. We've identified a day when we're gonna let these companies come in and give a presentation to a group of stakeholders that we've chosen, of people around the community. I would like to invite our board there as well, so you can be a part of the process. And these companies will have an opportunity to come in and present to us what they can do for our $316,000. So at the end of that presentation, our stakeholder group will turn in their evaluation forms and give us their idea of who they thought completed our theme and our wishes with the most amount of play equipment that we can get, that was identified through our work over the last year. And then that will go to our playground committee that's been working on this project forever. And then we'll bring it in front of the board and present those packages to the board with our recommendation on which playground we would like to move forward with. So again, I know it's not your traditional sealed bid, open it up, but I just think with this kind of a project, we could get bids anywhere from $600,000 to $1 million. But because we're identifying the secondary features, the walkways, the memorial wall, the entrance, as part of a different package, we're gonna be getting these companies' best designs for the $316,000 that we have left.
Thank you, Derek. And I've asked Dan to confirm that this kind of arrangement is consistent with our bid policy.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think Brittany's already weighed in a little bit.
Yeah, she has. Dan Kelly, Township Attorney. So Supervisor Fisher asked me to take a look at the procurement policy. And actually, I view it as being, it is a little bit different than how the board's used to, but it's clearly allowed for under the policy. The policy specifically states that the township can state in the evaluation factors the relative importance of price, which is exactly what we're doing here. We're setting the price in advance. And then the other factors for awarding the bid are laid out in the bid package when they're sent out. So I think it's within the policy. It may not be the way we've done it in the past. In the past, we've put the focus and the emphasis on the low price, the low bidder. This is a little bit different, but the board's still going to have the information and the evaluation to make the determination.
Thank you. I don't think there's any need for the board to take action, but are there any questions and comments by the board?
I think if I think it's important to note as well that we've discussed this with our grant coordinator, because $200,000 of this project is a Land Water Conservation Fund grant. They are very specific about their money being spent on the playground equipment. They don't want it spent on walkways and entrances and memorial walls. They are very specific that they want their $200,000 spent on the equipment. And this is a good way for us to be able to separate that through our reporting process with the DNR. They're behind the idea as well.
Good, Ron?
So,
I was just gonna comment saying that I think we have outlined the specifications, so it's just a different methodology of how we outline that. But I also think it gives us some capability of getting the creativity of these people, like you said, to show what they can get for that amount of money. So I think it's a good idea and a good project to use that methodology on. So.
Okay, anybody else?
I was initially pretty hesitant, for something that didn't sound like it would meet our normal process, especially for those kind of dollars. And in my mind, I had about 3 things I felt, well, here's some things I think we might need to do that would make me more comfortable. And I'll tell you, you've crossed all of them off already. So,
sweet.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
Did a nice job presenting that, and it was obviously discussed with some folks here already, and nice job putting that together. So.
Thanks, Paul.
I have
Terry?
another comment, and this, I don't want to delay your project at all, but a lot of times, there's people out there that when they give their money, they really want to know that it's going to what you say it's going to. And my thing is, now that you kind of are working backwards and people are going to be able to see these designs, if that's something that can go out to the community, if there's room to grow, maybe you'll get more interest in people wanting to give towards that project before it begins, to be like, I like what I see, this is what we're gonna get. And so I don't know if you have room in your thing, but I'd put another draw to the community on people to donate once you get the heart of what they're gonna be building. And
Well, there's always room to add. That's the
okay,
beauty
I
of
guess that's
playgrounds.
what, yeah.
I think the hardest decision that we had to make was, we would love this entire playground to have a poured-in-place surface. And a poured-in-place surface is that squishy, rubbery surface that meets all of the safety and ADA compliancy specifications. However, if this is, 8 to 9,000 square foot of playground surfacing, it would double the amount of this project to do the entire playground. That's kind of what we're staring at. So we are going to do the poured-in-place surfacing over our ADA features. So folks with disabilities can come and enjoy the playground like everyone else in the community with easier accessibility. However, we can't do the whole playground just because of pure expense.
Okay.
So, but I do like your comments, because I learned my lesson with the spray park. And so we have reached out to so many people about this playground, because we know what it meant to those people 30 years ago that put that playground in the ground. We have one of them on our board right now that was our director at the time, Ann Conklin's right hand, has helped us through this entire process. And we have really vetted this through a process with community members to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and honoring those folks of the past. And I think you're really gonna like the entrance of the park, because it has castle peaks on it, just like the original playground. And the memorial wall area is gonna be really cool, because we're bridging that past into the present by having all the past donors on one side of the entrance and all of the current donors on the other side. So
Any
we're
other
really
board
tying
members?
it together.
Jerry told me about this earlier this evening, and I also was hesitant about kind of moving outside of our standard bid process for something like this. And I thought that maybe in your bid, what you could do is ask these companies to do the bid just like you're asking for it, but also provide you with another playground and the pricing for it that they did for somebody else. And maybe you can call that institution, group, whatever it is, school, whoever, and just double check on the pricing. Because I find that sometimes, contractors do charge governmental organizations more than what they would charge somebody out on the street. And that's just my fear, is
I think
sometimes that happens.
I think the beauty of it is, though, is if you have a company that's underselling themselves with the amount of equipment that they're providing within the area, there's gonna be another company that's gonna blow their doors off with what they can provide. So that's why I really like the process, because usually we shop a project and we just sit back and hope and pray that we get something that comes within our price range. I really
I don't
like this
disag-
because if one company kind of short sides themselves and maybe tries to upcharge us, there's gonna be another company that's gonna say, hey, look, we can do twice the project for that price.
Right, and I don't disagree with that idea, but I also don't think it's an issue to just ask them to back
Yeah.
up their pricing with something that they've done before.
And there is a reference part of that bid package when they do their presentations, there's a portion of that already
Good.
built in.
And I'd just like to say, I do think that this is a really good, really interesting idea.
Any other comments by board members? Any members of the audience? Anybody online? Hearing none, I don't think there's any action by the board. It looks like there's a consensus. I'm sensing a consensus by the board to go along with this process, and so we'll look forward to good results.
Well, I just want to say thank you, because we've really put 3 years of effort into it, and it's finally starting to come to the point where we can see actual playgrounds and what that space is going to look like, and we're really excited to have the rubber meet the road. So thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to try something a little bit different to get the most bang for our buck. And we'll be happy to take you along for the ride from here on out, so you can take a look at the projects and tell us which ones you like the most. I'll make sure I send the presentation date out to you, so if you'd like to attend, we'd love to have you there. So,
Sounds
thank you very
good.
much.
Has
Thanks,
your
Terry.
playground committee, the stakeholders, have all of those people been determined already, or can people still volunteer to be a part of that?
No, oddly enough, we had a hard time getting people to be a part of it. And we were very specific at first. We know that there's certain daycares that drive buses to this playground every day. So we wanted either the owner or the manager of some of these daycares to be involved in the process. We wanted someone from the Optimist Club to be involved because of, their help with donating funds and the grant that we received. So we had very specific targets, and I was surprised that some of the people that, it's not that they didn't want to be a part of it, I think that the time, taking out an entire day to sit through 6 playground presentations, they were like, hey, at the end of the day, you're gonna come up with a really cool project, and they just didn't want to devote the time. But yeah, we definitely have room. Matter of fact, I'd like to, like I said, to invite the board, and you can be a part of that process, fill out the evaluation sheets, and I think it would be a great thing. It's just, you're all residents, and that's what we're aiming for, is to get resident opinions, so. Yeah, we have room. If anyone's interested and they want to be a part of it, we'd love to take on, we've got room for a couple more people, so.
Sounds good.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Derek.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, item number 2, request to approve first reading and introduction of an amendment to the zoning ordinance with regard to certain signs.
Good evening. This is a minor amendment, but one that came up during our previous election where a candidate actually posed a question about how far ahead they could put a sign out and for a particular candidate. And it is, as you'll recall, we went through an arduous sign ordinance update over the past couple of years during COVID. And the Planning Commission had elected to have it be 30 days. It was actually, I think, a lot less than that, and that was all ruled unconstitutional. So the way it's turned in
Not
our
in a case
ordinance-
involving the township, though.
No.
Just want to
No.
clarify that.
But it's turned, since we can't say political signs because that's content, we have to say signs relating to additional expression of speech prior to a scheduled election. That's the way it is. Thank the Supreme Court for that.
Yeah.
But
Says political signs right there.
we had a lot of discussion about this at the Planning Commission level. We deliberated over several meetings, I think, and Ron would probably attest to this, about the amount of time. And our previous township attorney had recommended that we have it be 45 to 60 days based on previous case law. And the Planning Commission was adamant that it be 30 days, no more. They did not want to see political signs out that long in advance. So, however, in speaking with Township Attorney Kelly's office and Brittany, it was decided that we need to make this change and we need to do it quickly because we have another election in May. So, this amendment increases the amount of time from 30 to 45 days in advance of the meeting. And
The election.
The election. It was at the last Planning Commission meeting, we held a public hearing, and it was unanimously approved, so we're recommending that the board pass on the first reading so we can move this along quickly.
And not be the test case.
Yes, exactly. The complaint we got was pretty stern, and so it raised a lot of alarm bells.
Yeah.
So.
Any questions by board members? Ron?
I'll just make a comment. Part of, what played into all of the extending this was the popularity of the absentee ballot, obviously. And I think that was part of the complaint, is that the absentee ballots go out and a lot of them get returned before anybody can even put out a sign.
Right.
So I guess that's why we picked the 45 days, because that gives, it's pretty close to about the same time people start returning their ballots for the absentee voter, and so
Okay.
that's how we kind of
Makes
came up
sense.
with that timing,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Carrie, it's 40 days ahead.
45 days is for the move and the FWA ballots, which is the military and overseas ballots, so we do email those out 45 days.
Yeah.
Can before, or mail them prior,
Okay.
then the others are
Perfect.
40.
Anybody else?
Just a quick comment for the public, since they're bringing this up. before people do call and complain, because this year, I mean, we had that special election thrown at us, that they make sure that they check when the election dates are before they complain about something. Because, you know, a lot of people didn't even know we had something going on in March. So, you know, look on the website or look when the elections are before they call to complain about something as well.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, anybody in the audience? Anybody online? Seeing none,
Yes, I have a question
okay.
for the attorney. Dan, what are other communities like Orion or Orland Township that you represent? They have similarity of policies like us, like this one?
Yeah.
Is it the same? Or how many days Orion, for instance, or neighbor?
I believe Oregon is 45 days off the top of my head. Everybody basically updated their ordinances, their sign ordinances after the Supreme Court case in Gilbert.
Okay.
And with regard, and they've all handled them pretty much the same way, temporary signs, because you can't designate between the signs. And 45 days is, I would think, is by far the most common.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Okay. All right, I think we've completed discussion. Is there a motion for first reading?
I'll move to approve the introduction and first reading of the ordinance to amend Charter Township of Independence Ordinance Code, Chapter 50, zoning ordinance, revisions to Section 12.07, D3, relating to additional expression of speech prior to a scheduled election, as presented, and schedule the second reading on the next available Board of Trustees regular meeting following the required publication.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Roll call?
Oh, you want a roll call for this? First
Yes.
reading even?
Yes.
Okay.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Lockren?
Yes.
Trustee Aliaga?
Yes,
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Nalamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Ritchie?
Yes.
And Supervisor Fisher?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried.
Thank you very much. All right, Brian is hanging back here because the
Yep.
next item is for him. The
Correct.
out-of-state travel.
Correct. This is a request for myself and Lieutenant Mark Brown to attend the ESRI conference. This is a user conference held in San Diego every year. Past couple years, it's been virtual, obviously. But it's held in July 11th through the 15th of this year. We've attended the last 5 of these, even virtually, because it's the largest conference for GIS users in the world. And what this provides us is hours of expertise, one-on-one time with ESRI representatives in the local government sphere. And, you know, I think this has been a valuable training session for Mark and myself. You know, we've developed over 30 applications based on, you know, this conference, really. So, you know, it's something that, you know, we're continuing to expand our GIS offerings, and this conference allows us to see the product updates and updates to applications that we have already in place, such as the polling places, which is updated this year, and code enforcement. And, you know, we've been able to build applications for assessing, planning, building, you know, and also the clerk's office to assist, and they're very popular applications on our website. So we also have, all of those applications also have a, you know, a back end, 2 of them that tracks statistical data. So, you know, we can see exactly how many hits and views these things are getting, which is good to see. So we are requesting that we attend this year in person, and that's about it. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Board members?
Yes, sir.
Paul?
Not really a question, just could you just share maybe a couple of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for the public, the value of this GIS, who a lot of them might not understand what that means. We're using that, right, for things like someone out on the safety path who works for the township recognizing a buckled sidewalk, and they have his device in his hand, and within seconds can have that reported, loaded up into our system. Is that sort of?
That's correct. Our Department of Public Works maps all the sewer and water based on GPS coordinates, and also being in the field, all the curb stops are, you know, it's a GPS unit that they use. The fire department does it with our burn permits. If you want a burn permit, they use a mapping application that basically determines whether or not there's any exceptions in that in an area. Our code enforcement, you can file a complaint right on a GIS application on code enforcement, and elections, you can, if you're a new resident, which we track on a map, another application for assessing how many sales there are in the calendar year. So that's all mapped, but if you're a new resident, which there was over 800 in the last calendar year, you can go to find out where you need to vote. And it'll give you directions if you're new to the community. That's one of our most popular. I mean, that gets over 1,000 hits in the day to 2 days before the election.
Any idea how old the people are that are using it? Probably all under 25.
Well, they're all the applications are cross-compatible, so you don't need to use a laptop or a desktop computer. That works right on your phone.
Great.
And that's the thing is, yes, this is geared towards a younger generation, but younger generations like visual things, not words. So,
That's awesome.
and a lot of this started with, the previous supervisor and the board really pushing transparency, and that's what we try to do.
Brian, with DPW being a heavy user of ESRI, why do they not attend the conference and you and Mark have gone for the past 5 years?
They have actually they've attended all of them except for, I think this year, Dave was not sure who he was going to send. Randy Winowicki, who's the GIS person over at DPW, he normally would attend, but he's on a personal vacation that week. So,
Okay.
so Dave's kind of at a loss of what to do. And actually, because of our subscription and our licensing, these are free registrations.
Do we get is there any recorded portion of the conference that Randy could tap into once he gets back, or?
Yes, they do offer that when it's in person, but there's a cost involved, and I'm sure Randy, we all take different tracks, based on what we do, so, and what we use it for. So I'm sure that if Randy wanted to get more training or see what's coming for water and sewer, he could certainly get that information.
Okay.
The previous person at the DPW before Randy,
Doreen?
Doreen, I was trying to think of her
Yeah,
name.
Doreen.
Thank you very much. She attended
Yep.
this before as well, so.
Okay.
DPW they were the initial ones that use it the most, along with the fire department, I think, so.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other board members? Any members of the audience? Joe?
Joe Switcher again, Hilltop Estates. I was just wondering, because technology was my bag. Are there any user groups that come out of this conference where you can swap applications and say, we do this here and here it is, and here it is, and it's free?
Yeah, so we are, obviously being in Oakland County, we're a member of the GIS application services through Oakland County. That's a free service that's provided to us. So yes, that's how our agreement with the county works is I produce an application, somebody else can use the way that I created it to create their own. Auburn Hills is a perfect example. They're using an election application just like ours. So there's other communities that I have to share it with the entire county of users, anytime I create some kind of application. So yeah.
Nice. That's nice.
Part of our agreement with the county.
Great. Anybody else in the audience? Anybody online? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel for Brian Ottman, Planning and Zoning Director, and Lieutenant Mark Brown to attend the 2022 ESRI User Conference in San Diego, California, from July 11th through July 15th, 2022, subject to the terms and conditions specified under Section 312, expense reimbursement, petty cash payroll, accounts payable of the Charter Township of Independence Employee Policy and Procedure Manual.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I bet he wishes it was in December.
That's right. All right, number 4, last item of regular business on the agenda, request to approve 2022 Neighborhood Road Improvement Program, the NRIP. Board members and probably members of the audience are familiar with this program where the township supplements monies that are expended by homeowners on their neighborhood roads, typically in connection with a special assessment or condominium subdivision. It's an excellent concept to motivate people to improve their roads. Unfortunately, as time has gone on recently, it has not been used frequently. In fact, last year it wasn't used at all. And one problem, of course, is the high construction and materials cost that we have out there now. And I mean, there was a project that was costed out earlier this year, and you've got some of these materials in your agenda package. But the Manners of Deerwood project, I think it was like $40,000 a homeowner. And I mean, that's pretty. And maybe they can afford it, maybe they can't, but that's a lot of money. And last year, the contribution by the township was 5%, up to $100,000, and that may not even be enough for smaller projects for a contribution. So the proposal this year, in an attempt to stimulate some use, is to increase the 5% to 25%, but still with a cap of between $50,000 and $100,000, depending upon the circumstances. And that may well be used. We have one project, Tappan Court, I believe it is, that's about a project of about $184,000. And so if this project or this program was applied, it would result in roughly $46,000 to assist the homeowner. So that's a real assist, and maybe it'll push the thing over the edge and it'll get it done, because I've understood that they really need to, and there are many projects that really need to be done, and that's one of them. So in any event, the township has budgeted $200,000 for this project. I think that's been the case for a while. In other words, for all projects, $200,000, and that's the way it is this year. I would really like to see this project applied to private roads as well. I mean, the people pay taxes, and when a road is improved, it enhances the value of property, which helps us with tax base. So there's a public purpose, but the consensus in the world right now is that this program would not be applicable. We can't spend township money for private roads. That's the consensus. I think there's a great argument to be made, but again, I'm not anxious to make the township a test case for this this proposition, and maybe we can get legislation over time. So you have the proposal in your packet that spells it out: 25%, up to a maximum of between $50,000 and $100,000, depending upon the circumstances, with all projects capped off at $200,000. Ron?
Yeah, I just want to make some comments that we're talking about this $200,000 that the township has to spend. That money is not taxpayer money per se. It didn't come from taxes on the residents. It came from our Waymaster program through the sheriff's department. Part of what tears up the road is the heavy trucks, like garbage trucks and that type of thing going up and down your road. So by using this Waymaster money from the fines and stuff from the sheriff's department, I guess that's why we're taking this money and trying to incentivize people to redo their roads. everybody's been complaining about the roads. You
Yeah.
know, to me, I think it's a great program, but I guess I've been saddened that we haven't utilized it more. I think we've only utilized it once or twice in the last couple of years, so.
Yeah, and, you know, to the extent that it's not used this year, if we pay $46,000 this year, we have the option of rolling over that money into, you know, into
Into the
next
fund,
year,
right.
and maybe we can create a larger motivation next year.
And like I say, it's, with the price of oil and everything, I'm sure putting in new roads is even more expensive than ever, so.
Yeah, and there's a thought by many that after all the gouging gets done and so forth, that maybe the prices will moderate a little bit. Terry?
I have a suggestion that certain communities, maybe if we went out and suggested this to them, especially since some of our major roads are still gonna be worked on this year, aren't they doing a section of Clarkston Road? Some of the offshoots that coming off Clarkston Road, when they're already out here with those bigger projects, if they piggyback this off of it while they're already out there, but I think a lot of people, it doesn't even cross their mind, and they're used to driving on those, and they're just like, well, we can't afford it, that if maybe someone from our community sent a letter to certain streets, like, I know a couple offhand, that if I went to the residents and said, look, they're gonna be working on Clarkston Road, there's this pot of money, why don't you talk about it amongst yourselves, and maybe you can get, you know, quarter mile or something on some of these side streets off, you know, like the veins of Clarkston Road, that would work. But if they can tie those together, I think it would be a win-win.
Good thought. Good thought. Paul?
The project on Tappan Court, that's being done by the road commission?
Yeah.
And it's only doing Tappan Court, it's not doing Tappan Drive or Felix or any other part of that neighborhood?
No, Tappan Drive
Applied, but
applied, its the monies were way too high.
They turned it down.
So my only concern is that you have a project that's $180,000. And so there's 11 houses on that street, and if they get $46,000, that's what?
$4,000.
The amount, so those folks would be getting disproportionately, significantly more than, for example, folks in Fendera who are trying to do a project, or Deerwood,
Absolutely.
where those folks are gonna get a fraction of that
Right.
on paying their bill. And so you could have a couple of these small projects that happen, and in making this change, those folks could eat up this fund pretty quickly, and the people who are getting $40,000 bills are getting next to nothing, or nothing.
They're not gonna do the projects. That's the problem.
The large ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suspect that's
Yeah.
probably.
So I think the Tappan Court's probably gonna be the only project done this year.
And Deerwood has already declined.
Yeah. And I think there was another one that declined as well.
I guess part of the thing, by making this change, we're trying to increase to incentivize people to do it, because nobody's been doing it, so.
Right.
So, I mean, anybody that, if we make this change, anybody that does do it is obviously gonna get more than the 2 or 3
Yeah.
people that have done it in the past, so. But on the same token, nobody's using it, so.
Right.
I mean,
It's true.
if we can't get somebody to use it, it's a
Exactly.
program that's useless, so.
Useless, right.
So I guess
But
I
the money's
understand.
earning like what, 0.5%?
Well, I'm just saying, I agree with you. I don't like that, the people that, the couple projects that were early on, obviously, we probably could have given them more money, but we didn't know that at that time.
Right.
And even what Jerry put in the Mayfair was hey, let's do this, but if we get too many takers, then we'll have to adjust how much we can give each project, so.
Yeah, if the other projects come out, it would be reduced accordingly.
But in reality, what we're trying to do is change the program to get some people to make a move and do something, because
Wow.
nobody's using the money.
Sounds good.
And, I guess we don't want to just have a program out there and keep talking about it and nobody ever utilize it.
Exactly.
It's not fair for.
Yeah.
I have a program.
And like I say, it's not taxpayer money, so I think we have, when I say it's not tax,
Yeah.
when we collect the money, obviously it belongs to the residents, so. But I mean, to me, it's money that we can use in a different fashion than
Mhm.
what we'd normally do. And that's what we're trying to do, is incentivize and improve parts of the township that, we've all been on different side roads in the
Oh, yeah.
township, and
I guess-
many of them are in bad shape, so.
The other side of that, you know, if I argue against myself, is that this change could actually impact getting that project through, whereas
Yes,
whether it was 50 or 100,000 for these big projects has no bearing on that project getting approved.
pay their fees,
It's a $2 or $3 or $8 million project, and 100 grand.
pay their administrative fees. Yeah.
And I think what the fallacy is, people think the road commissioner are the only ones that can do the roads. People can get a private company to come and do your road through the SAD. There's certain standards you have to meet, and that's all part of the SAD, but
I mean,
it doesn't
would be
necessarily have to be
managed
the
by the
county
township.
that does it. Yeah, but the township can still handle the SAD,
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
you know, we did for Thinder and those types of places.
Yep.
So whether it's public or
Thank you.
private, so.
Yep, great discussion. Anybody in the audience? Yes, sir.
I just got something briefly on.
Great. Tell us what your name is, please.
Yeah, Steven Sioma, I'm a resident in Thindara Park. And regarding that, I can't speak for all the residents there, but I can say that a lot of people were flabbergasted by the price. And one of the things that was being discussed and that will be discussed during an upcoming meeting will be the private companies. That consideration, or even something I was trying to look into, I need to determine the legality of it because there are the standards regarding the roads, but voluntary road repairing committees in order to get people to at least get the holes patched. Because, you know, throughout the entire winter, you had some huge potholes out there that, you know, when the road commission can get out there to fix them, usually in the spring they will, but people got to deal with it until that point. So I'm wondering if we could work with either private companies or look into what the legality would be for voluntary committees, if we could use this project to that, if people aren't going to want to go with the prices that would come with tearing everything out and rebuilding it.
Yeah, I think it has been used for that purpose in the past, maintenance essentially.
Wingate, was it Wingate?
Wingate.
Wingate has done maintenance and had a contribution from this in the past. So it was small, they did maintenance
4 times, it looks
4
like.
times, she's got it.
Yeah, and you don't need to do the entire subdivision,
Right.
Right.
but the people contributing are, obviously have to be benefited.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming to the meeting. You can come every time.
Don't seem desperate.
Well, we need it, obviously, right?
I know, we
Just
need
nice
more
to have people
participation.
advocating.
Yes,
All right, we need a motion, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Move to approve the 2022 Neighborhood Road Improvement Program as presented.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Roll call.
No, I think it's
Just, I
just
guess,
approving a policy.
I know we're sort of after, but there's no issues with the fact that it still talks about private funding in here, right? Because,
That's just in the MAIF. It's not, there's nothing in the policy itself that
All right.
says that.
very good.
Yeah, because I knew that it was
Yeah,
questionable.
we don't want to get anybody coming in thinking they can get it. and-
Yeah.
Well, each project would have to be approved anyway, right?
Yes.
So I mean, it isn't like.
Yeah. But they come to the board anyway, that's right.
Right, so.
Yeah, that's
So, since each project has to be approved, obviously, legal can review each project to make sure we're staying within the rules. so.
still on here. Okay. Communications, this is item
vote.
N.
Do we need a roll call?
We need a
sorry.
roll call.
He said we weren't gonna do roll call.
Oh, we-
It's fine.
Yeah,
We don't
it's
vote.
really not an
We
ordinance.
did a
Oh.
voice vote.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and it's unanimous.
Okay.
Unanimous vote is basically
Very good.
the same as a roll call.
Okay.
You know how everybody voted. All right, item N, communications, future agenda items and reports. Number 1 is the 2021 fourth quarter investment report. Number 2, election commission minutes, final February 1, 2022. Number 3 is another minutes, Information Technology Oversight Committee, final December 14, 2021, and finally, more minutes, Information Technology Oversight Committee, final February 8, 2022. Any other board member comments? All right, then. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.